Well, the puppet performed relatively well tonight. Definitely better than I had expected. But it still wasn't quite good enough. If you had to call it in football terms, it was 21-12 Donald Trump, which actually isn't too bad considering he had to take on two people because Chris Wallace was definitely on Joe Biden's side, interrupting frequently whenever Trump had Biden on the ropes and giving Biden a chance to squirm out of whatever situation that Trump managed to wrangle him into. I suppose the question I would have is who was that guy? Did you see his pupils? They look like Ocasio Cortez's pupils. Whatever she was on, they shot him up with before he went on the debate stage. There's no doubt in my mind. Because having watched Joe give speeches from his basement, that definitely wasn't the same guy. He wasn't nearly as tongue tied, he wasn't nearly as forgetful, and he was actually more on point than I've ever seen him. So that's got to tell us something right there. You don't just go from the stumbling, bumbling idiot that he has been up to this point to all of a sudden making sense. Unless he is in some kind of cognitive decline and the debate just happened to fall on a good day. Or they had some kind of extra help for him. So, a couple quick points and then I'll let you go on your way. The entire debate, I was hoping Trump was going to bring up the Second Amendment because the Democrat policy on the Second Amendment and self defense should lose them the election on its own. Because make no mistake about it, if the Second Amendment is diminished or done away with altogether, all of the rights in the Bill of Rights will follow shortly thereafter. And based on what we have seen in cities throughout the country, whether they be left or right, that should concern all of us. Number two was the subject of Hunter Biden when it came up. It's been well established that Hunter Biden has been into some shady deals, to say the least. And it's almost inconceivable that his old man wouldn't know about it. And if he doesn't know about it, he's obviously not qualified to be president. Because a president has to be sharp, he has to be observant, and he has to be willing to toe the mark for his own words. Or at least wise, that's how it ought to be. And finally, I wish Trump would have went a little bit further with exposing the numbers on COVID as to what we were told was going to happen as opposed to what actually happened, and how all of the experts, for the most part, were wrong. And that would bring into question a lot of other subjects that supposedly so called experts say the science is already settled on. Because science is ever evolving, and that's just the way it is. You can take the lessons from this so called pandemic as an example. It's not nearly as severe or deadly as it was made out to be when it first came around. And I have a feeling that a lot of these so called experts knew that beforehand. And it was their job to overblow everything to make the American public fearful so that they would fall in line for the true goal in the end of ruining the economy. Because let's not forget, the Democrats said they would love to have a recession in order to get Donald Trump if that's what it took. So, 46 years, I believe it is, that Joe Biden has been in Washington and involved in Washington politics. Yet they accuse Donald Trump of being the establishment. I find that hard to believe and impossible to forget every time I hear Sleepy Joe open his mouth, even if he's shot up to the point where he actually makes sense, or at least wise can present his ideas and thoughts in a coherent manner. 40 some odd years, and the things that he says should have been accomplished haven't been accomplished, that ain't Donald Trump's fault. That falls back to Joe Biden and not following through on his words, actions, and deeds. And in my opinion, disqualifies him from the opportunity to be president. Because if he ain't got it done up to now, he ain't going to get it done in the future. Take care.